It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
Well, now let's talk about one that's a little more intimate, a little bit closer. What about our spouses and our significant others? Generally speaking, it's the person in this world that we tend to be the closest to, and money is an issue and can be an issue if you don't approach it in an intelligent and well thought out way.
And by the way, there is lots of bad advice out there on this. Let's start off with one just to get everybody's appetite.
Okay, so you just went and bought something and you got a receipt, but you're afraid your wife's going to find it in the trash. So just do one of these numbers right here.
Look at this.
No evidence.
So for those that are listening to this on the podcast, I guess this is giving you a hack on receipts too. I mean, so this individual in this TikTok video turned on their stove, got it really hot, and then took a receipt. We've all seen the receipts that you get about at any retailer. When you put those near heat, they turn black. You know, he's like, so you don't have to worry about your significant other or spouse finding the evidence. This is horrible. By the way, I watched a lot of videos on this when the content team was researching this, and there's an entire industry on how to keep secrets. And what I was surprised about is how many came from a position that this was a positive behavior. Is that because there was one video in particular that I watched where she was saying, I'm going to keep compiling this money in this secret account. It's going to protect me in case my spouse does something I don't like and I need to have essentially a financial scat bag. Mm-hmm. And then, or if he does something so bad that runs us aground financially, I'm going to be able to surprise him with my secret account. All of this. And I was like, this is horrible advice, because as two people, we are probably the primary, we're the nerds of the relationship. But that doesn't mean just because we're the financially curious, we try to make sure we communicate and keep our spouses on the same page, because it's just not right to keep the other half of your relationship, the person you're the closest to, in the dark about what's going on financially.
I'm just kind of curious, Brian, if you went home today and you like pulled out your trash can and you looked down and you saw a bunch of like charred black receipts, would that not immediately raise some red flags? Like, would that not?
How about the fire hazard?
Yeah,
I mean, when you burn down the house because of your receipt
That was what I
here.
thought the fight with the spouse were going to be. He sets it on fire, loses it, the kitchen goes ablaze. Yeah, this probably isn't the most prudent way to navigate doing financials with a significant other. And we already gave you this stat. 59% of divorcees say that money or financial issues played a role in their divorce. 54% said that their spouse spent too much money. It's not our problem, it's their problem. And 53% said we're just not financially compatible. When I hear financially compatible, I hear they don't have the same goals. They don't have the same why. They don't have the same purpose behind what they're doing with money. That's going to be a problem, because it's hard to set yourself up for long-term success if you are completely not on the same page. So we want to walk through some what not to do's to hopefully help you avoid not being on the same page. We'll walk through some what to do's to get you on the same page. Here's the first what not to do. Don't be completely ignorant about your financial situation. Mm-hmm. If you're someone who just buries your head in the sand and says, oh, well, so-and-so will take care of it, perhaps that's not the best place to be. Or if you have someone who that's their inclination, that's their tendency to just bury their head in the sand, perhaps you should not let them do that. You know, we see it all the time where a marriage dissolves or a spouse passes away, and the spouse that's remaining, or the spouse who was the divorcee, is like, I have no idea what's going on. I just trusted them. I thought they were doing this. I thought they were taking care of that. You have to make sure that from a financial perspective, both you and your significant other have an idea of what's going on and why it's going on. If you're not doing that, then you're kind of setting yourself up for a lot of risk.
And there's tools out there that will help with that communication. Mm-hmm. We'll cover that in a minute. But I want to talk about something that I was surprised as we were doing research for the show. 19% of couples have financial secrets and secret accounts. I mean, if you do the math on that, that's 1 in 5. I mean, that is really close to 1 in 5 are keeping secret accounts from their spouses.
Yeah, that's sort of terrifying, because we're doing our content prep and we're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's common. Yeah. And I was trying to think, like, I can't imagine. Now, don't mishear us. we have clients and we interact with folks who make the decision as a couple to keep separate finances.
Yeah.
I have a my account, I have a your account, and then we have a us account. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about making the decision to have separate finances. This is folks who are literally hiding accounts from their spouse or their significant other that they don't know about. I just don't think that secrets in those kind of relationships ever turn out well. I don't think that leads you to a good place, most likely.
I thought it was another thing we put up here, and this is something that it puts me back to a past event when you first got married. We had some funny content of how much you were going to do things, and I think it was interesting. You thought on the honeymoon y'all were going to be having conversations about money, and then she was like, she spent $15-20. She was going to get permission.
$40.
$40.
$40 is going to be our check-in number.
So her shampoo probably cost more than that, but it's one of those things where I think it is good advice to be careful telling your partner what they can and cannot spend. Essentially, being the overbearing financial spouse probably is not going to work well, because once again, in relationships, force is met with force, and that creates conflict. There's got to be a better way to have those productive conversations.
Here, this is gonna be like a little self-reflection here, Brian. My wife and I don't necessarily like spending money on the same things. She likes spending money on things that I think are kind of silly, right? Whether it be fingernail things or eyebrow things or whatever the things are that she spends her money on. That's okay. If she has value, she places value on those things. It's not my money or her money. It's our money. I have to be okay that her consumption behavior is different than my consumption behavior. So I don't want to lord over her. No, you can't go do that thing or buy that thing or have that thing. I have to be reasonable, but we also have to be reasonable around what we're doing on our saving side. So she can't lord over me. Hey, stop saving money. Hey, stop doing that. It has to be a mutually communicative interaction, and that's what sets you up for long-term success.
Well, you just nailed it. Let's if you pivot over to what to do, you've got to have good communication. Mm-hmm. If you want to get buy-in, one of the best things to do is have open conversations about this. I mean, one of my favorite things is to go on a date night and talk about, hey, what do we think we're going to do over the next year, 2 years, 5 years as a couple? Mm-hmm. You can have open dialogue, big picture discussions that can actually be productive, romantic, and also keep everybody on the same page.
I love it. And part of that talking about money, part of having those conversations is acting like a team. It's not uncommon, Brian. It's really interesting given all what's going on in the world. But in the past, we're obviously financial advisors. The way that we get paid is based on helping our clients manage their financial affairs. And basically, yes, well, the market goes down. It's not uncommon for compensation to go down, for personal income to go down. And like most folks, when your income decreases, you have to have a conversation with your spouse about, hey, maybe this month we're not going to do that thing. Maybe we're not going to take that trip. Maybe we're not going to go out to eat as much. Maybe we're going to tighten the belt. Maybe we're going to fill in the blank. Well, you have to do that as a team, and you have to make sure that you're both on the same page, working towards the same common goals. If it's not a team, it's going to feel like a dictatorship. Yeah. I'm telling you what to do and you're following me. No one wants to be inside that type of environment. So as you're having these conversations, make sure both parties have an equal voice. Make sure both parties are able to communicate what they value, what money means to them, what they want to spend. And if you can do that, you're going to be amazed at how highly aligned you can be as you move along in the journey.
And don't forget to use tools. I mean, like setting up a simple budget for your family and having the conversation of each one of the spending categories could be really helpful in that open dialogue that you're having with your spouse as well as teammate.
And then you ought to also plan for the future, right? So obviously a lot of the conversations we have with our spouses or significant others about present day spending. What are we spending money on today? But you also have conversations about, okay, how much are we going to save? 25%, obviously, because we're financial mutants. But where are we going to save that to? And what are we saving for? And what's the goal? And have we made sure we've taken care of all the other things in our financial life that matter? Like, have we done our wills? Do we have life insurance in place? Do we have powers of attorney? Have we done all the things that a highly functioning, highly efficient financial team would do? So you have to make sure, if you want to not let money be a barrier in your relationship, that you're having those conversations, you're working through those things.
And I teased this earlier. I think it's also take advantage of all tools available. One, we have, if you go to moneyguy.com, or actually learn.moneyguy.com,
Yep, right.
we have a perfect resource. We have a net worth tool that is, if you're trying to take inventory of what you have, what you owe, and how it's all coming in and interconnects with each other, that is your net worth. That is the dashboard for your personal finances. Creates a great opportunity for you and your spouse to have good open dialogue, plan for the future, all the things Bo was covering there. Even the budget discussion can be had as you're using a tool like the net worth tool. Don't miss out on that opportunity, because that's what Bo and I both use with our spouses.
My wife would tend to be the ostrich, right? She just like finance. She's way more creative. She doesn't love the like dollars and cents stuff. But when I do our net worth statement every year, and I show this to her, and I show her our net worth over time and our journey to abundance, and I show her our footnotes page where it has all of our life insurance and the kids' college accounts and the disability insurance. And she knows that if something were to happen to me tomorrow, she has this single document that will help her pick up the pieces. It won't replace me, but at least lets her know where everything is, what we have, and how she can get to it. I can just see a sense of relief wash over her. Now, the good news is if I don't disappear tomorrow, if I'm not taken off this earth, it's really exciting for me to show this, say, hey, babe, look at where we were 2 years ago, where we are today.
Yeah.
Look at where we were 5 years ago. Can you believe this is what the journey's looking like? Look how much closer we're getting to that end goal. Look how much closer we're getting to that big, beautiful tomorrow. That's how I get buy-in from her on that. Now, she makes the joke, oh, I can't wait. We're going to be 90 years old and be able to spend all this money one day. There's a balance there, but at least allows us to have that conversation.
It can be very affirming, that's for sure.